Hello and welcome back once again to product placement. So this is part 2 of our Lay's flavor swap challenge, I guess. Versus, I don't really know what you want to call it. But I do got 2 more. I did decide to cut the video at the end there. I am going to put it out as a second video, I've decided. Mostly because I needed a second to rinse out my mouth and get all the little particles of chips out of my teeth. So they don't affect the other flavors that we're going to be trying. So this is a continuation. I'm filming it like literally 10 seconds after the other one, but it is going to be 2 separate videos. Okay, so the next 2 flavors that we have up against each other, according to the bag, and this one also makes sense because they are similar flavors, but not really. First one up is Honey Barbecue, and its opponent in the flavor swap challenge is Korean barbecue. I do love me some Korean barbecue the few times we've gone out for it, usually during CES. But I also like honey barbecue, which we're going to try honey barbecue first because that is the more plain flavor, where Korean barbecue is the more eccentric flavor. I originally saw someone post on Twitter that they had bought the Korean barbecue, and I was like, oh cool, a new flavor I can try, and then I realized it was part of this whole flavor swap thing, so then I was like, oh, more things to try. So, yeah, this is the honey barbecue we're opening up first. Getting a very faint scent of barbecue, but other than that, I'm not really smelling much of anything on these. So, anyway, down the hatch. That's actually pretty good too. When you first take the bite of it, it's like a very sweet barbecue, which is probably the honey, because honey is basically, in a way, a sugar used for sweetening and whatnot. So you get that nice sweet barbecue flavor at the beginning, then it blends into like just a normal barbecue potato chip. Similar though to the smoked Gouda and chive one, the flavor isn't lasting. It's not a sticking flavor like the cheddar and sour cream one was. It fades very quickly. You don't even really have the remnants of barbecue hanging around that much. Yeah, realistically, it's probably one of the more mellow barbecue potato chips I've ever had, but I do like the sweetness at the beginning from the honey. That's actually quite interesting. So let's see how it compares to the Korean barbecue. Continuing on with the flavor swap challenge, next up is the Korean barbecue. And then after I finish this one, I'll go into the other ones, and we'll kind of decide if you'll see those or not once I tell you why you're not going to see them now. So, opening up the Korean barbecue. Let's get a nice sniff of these. Okay, I'm not really smelling barbecue on these. I'm kind of smelling just soy sauce. Almost. There's 2 big ones right here on top. Let me see which one has the better amount of seasoning on. This one probably does. Yeah, it definitely smells like soy sauce based, or maybe like a teriyaki, but it's not a strong scent. Yeah, anyway, let's pop it in our mouth and see what we think. Cheers. Again, not a bad flavor. I don't know that it necessarily tastes like Korean barbecue is like how I picture it when I go to the actual Korean barbecue place and have Korean barbecue. It is definitely a very Asian flavor. It has like a soy sauce type of thing going to it, but it's a sweeter thing. That's why I'm thinking more teriyaki as opposed to soy. Again, both of these are kind of have like a sweetness to them. It's really hard to describe. Oh, no, it's not really hard to describe. Just putting my words together is what's hard right now. Very faint hint of like actual barbecue potato chips, like what I was getting out of the honey barbecue. I think someone thought that maybe Korean barbecue still included barbecue sauce, which it usually doesn't. But yeah, let's try one more. Yeah, I'm thinking that's definitely a sweet teriyaki. Kind of like it's almost like eating a piece of teriyaki flavored beef jerky, actually, except it's a chip. Both, again, not bad. I'm trying to determine which one I actually like better. Let me go back to the honey barbecue one more time, just to kind of compare the two. Again, with the honey barbecue, I definitely like the sweetness that I'm getting at the beginning. But again, it's not a lasting flavor of a chip. Actually, having the remnants of both of them in my mouth, they both blend very well together. I like the sweetness of the honey barbecue. It's a very mellow flavor. The Korean barbecue kind of tastes like teriyaki beef jerky type of thing. Again, not bad. As far as which one would I buy on a regular basis, as far as which one's more flavorful, definitely the Korean barbecue is more flavorful, but like I said, based on which one would I actually go to the store and put money down to buy on a regular basis, as much as I like the Korean barbecue, I'd probably have to go with the honey barbecue on that. Just because it is more of a mellow, common blend of flavors, where the Korean barbecue is more of a niche thing. It's based on, hey, try this because it's something different, like what I do with all the Pringles and everything. Every time a new flavor comes out, it's like, hey, let's see how close they got. So as far as like a lasting thing, I don't see the Korean barbecue kind of hanging around, where the honey barbecue, it's a barbecue Lay's potato chip. It just has really sweet flavoring to it. So between the two, man, this one's hard. I'm glad I did this one second. Yeah, between the two, I'd have to go with the honey barbecue based on the market value of repeated repurchasing. So yeah, on that one, I'm going to go with the honey barbecue, but I do still like the Korean barbecue. It's a nice, unique flavor. So with that said, let's talk about the other 4 flavors and why I'm not doing videos on them at this point. So when I went to the store, I wasn't planning to buy these because I was only ever seeing them in the large bags. And then when I was at Walgreens the other day, I forget what I went in there for, just to grab something real quick. I noticed they had these smaller bags all like in the one little section there. And I originally grabbed the cheddar ones and the barbecue ones because those were the ones I wanted to try. And I was like, I don't actually know how many of these there are. I was like, well, let me get these 4. I'll go home, do the research, find out how many more there are, come back and get those if they're here, which they were. Then as I was at the cashier ringing everything up, I noticed that when she went to scan it, the back of the bag actually showed all 8 flavors right there. And I was like, oh yeah, they do definitely have them all, but I was already in the checkout line. I wasn't going to run back and grab them right then. And then after I got home and looked at them, I'm kind of glad I didn't, because none of them really sound that appealing, which is why you're not seeing them. So the next 2 up would be Flaming Hot versus Fiery Roasted Habanero, which if those you who have been watching my videos for a while, you know that I'm not really that into hot stuff. I normally like spicy stuff. It doesn't like me. And as far as potato chips, I've never been really a fan of hot potato chips. Like everyone used to rave about the flaming hot Cheetos. I'd rather just have normal Cheetos. If I'm eating something like this, it's meant to be a snack and enjoyable, not like, oh, my mouth is on fire, I can't eat anymore. But they are in these smaller bags, so I might be willing to pick those up to do a video on them. But I'll have to wait till payday and then see if they still have them on display in the Walgreens. And the final two that were up against each other are both kettle cooked, which, if you've seen my other Lay's Do Us a Flavor challenge, or Do Us a Flavor videos, you'll know that I'm not a big fan of the kettle cooked Lay's chips. They all just kind of taste stale regardless of the flavor that they are. The kettle cooked, just something about it just tastes really stale to me, and I've never really been a fan of it. And then looking at these two flavors, they don't really sound that appealing either. The first one being sea salt and cracked pepper. Okay, so I have potato chips, which are normally salty, except now they're using sea salt. Okay, cool. But then they're adding pepper to it. Okay, so it's basically pepper chips. Then the other one that's up against is kettle cooked olive oil and herbs. So it's a stale potato chip that tastes like olive oil and random herbs. So are they going to be extra greasy because of the olive oil? Or are they just going to taste like olives? Honestly, I'm not a huge fan of olive oil to begin with. Like, when my roommate cooks anything, he dumps like a bunch of the olive oil that we have here into the pan. And like, that's all you can smell through the entire house. It doesn't matter what he's cooking. Normally you smell like the flavors of what's being cooked. All I smell when he cooks is olive oil. And the fact that he's using that much, I don't actually eat his food. I don't really like eating things that other people cook outside of like restaurants. I'd rather cook for myself. But having never tried his food, but smelling what his food smells like when he cooks it, I can only assume it tastes like nothing but olive oil. Like, he can cook steak, it probably tastes like olive oil. He can cook eggs, they'll probably be drenched in olive oil. Because regardless of whether he's cooking steak or eggs, that's all I smell is the olive oil. So I use oil very sparingly when I cook. I try not to use that at all. If something calls for oil and I can get away with using butter, I do, because butter's more flavorful. Worse for me, yes, but I didn't get this big from eating oil, so yeah, just not really a big fan of olive oil to begin with. I know, like, Italian restaurants, they'll give you like a little thing of olive oil and herbs to like dip bread in, which is cool and all, but I don't really see that translating into a chip. So that's why the other four haven't been purchased. That, and I paid $5 for what I just did in these videos, and money is still a little bit tight at this point. Still waiting to hear back on taxes and whatnot. So I may go ahead and get the others if they're still in the small bags, just for the additional videos. But it's going to be at least another week until payday. And then I have a bunch of stuff bills that I gotta pay. That's, for some reason, all my bills come due at the end of the month instead of the beginning of the month. So money might still be a little bit tight, but I could probably swing another $5 to do 2 more videos. So that's why you don't see the other ones right now. If you want to see them, let me know in the comments, or how about this? Give me a like if you want to see them, and if you don't. Or just give me a like if you like this video. Yeah, or just let me know in the comments, all that kind of stuff. But you might see them, and just might be another week to 2 weeks before they pop up. If you don't see them pop up, then either I decided against it, or they just weren't available anymore. So that is it for this video. Again, thanks for watching. Remember to like, comment, rate, subscribe, and share the video. I don't know why. I used to know the reasons why. I just got in the habit of saying it now, and yeah. So, until next time, as always, thanks for watching, and cheers.